Hi, I'm Rolando Porras, and I represent Choose Life Abundant. We're a non-for-profit charitable organization whose purpose is to wholeheartedly help our community. In 2015, I received my training at Lifeline Wellness Center on preventative health measures as practiced in one of the world's blue zones. Blue zones? In 2005, National Geographic published an article by Dan Buettner called The Secrets of Living Longer. Buettner set out to discover the longest living communities in the world. That is, communities where people live beyond the age of 100. These are called blue zones, and there are only 5 blue zones in the world. Interestingly, we have our own blue zone here in the United States. It's found in Loma Linda, California, and have been since thoroughly investigated by scientists and even featured in US News, Time, ABC News, Oprah Winfrey, The Dr. Oz Show, and many other media outlets as one of the people groups that live the longest and healthiest in the world. Take a look.
Find the 5 naturally occurring blue zones where people live longer than anywhere else on Earth.
For as long as humans have been around, they've been trying to figure out how to live longer, healthier lives. One author might have an answer. Dan Buettner has written a new book called The Blue Zones Solution. And he tells us what the world's longest living humans have eaten over the last century. Dan, first of all, what is a blue zone?
It was a 10-year project with National Geographic to first identify pockets around the world, we call them blue zone areas, where people either have the highest life expectancy or the highest centenarian rate. We found 5 of them: Okinawa, Japan; Sardinia, Italy; Costa Rica, the Nicoya Peninsula; and the United States here among the Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, California.
Now I know what many of you may be thinking. When we think of pain and disease, who wants to live past 100 years old? The remarkable thing about the blue zones is that not only people live beyond 100, they grow old without many common health problems such as heart disease, obesity, cancer, or diabetes. In fact, its residents are very active. Think hiking, farming, gardening, and some even water skiing.
This is a culture that has yielded Ellsworth Wareham. Ellsworth Wareham is 97 years old. He's a multimillionaire. Yet when a contractor wanted $6,000 to build a privacy fence, he said, for that kind of money, I'll do it myself. So for the next 3 days, he was out shoveling cement and hauling poles around. And predictably, perhaps, on the 4th day, he ended up in the operating room. But not as the guy on the table, the guy doing open heart surgery. At 97, he still does 20 open heart surgeries every month. Ed Rawlings, 103 years old now, an active cowboy, starts his morning with the swim, and on the weekends he likes to put on the boards, throw up rooster tails. And then Marge Deton. Marge is 104. Her grandson actually lives in the Twin Cities here. She starts her day with lifting weights. She rides her bicycle, and then she gets in a root beer-colored 1994 Cadillac Seville and tears down the San Bernardino Freeway, where she still volunteers for 7 different organizations.
When National Geographic researched this community, they found that their secret goes beyond diet. Did you know that 75% of the benefits of a good diet are wasted when we neglect a regular exercise routine?
So Dan, you wrote the blue zones and now the blue zones solution. First of all, what do these diets? Is there a common denominator to these diets that are effective?
So Blue Zone Solution did a meta-analysis, so a worldwide average of what 100-year-olds were eating for a century, and then averaged it out. We found that, first of all, they're eating mostly a plant-based diet, about 90%, but it's also a very high-carb diet. About 65% of their caloric intake are things like whole grains, corn, sweet potatoes in Okinawa, and beans are the cornerstone of every longevity diet in the world. But the reality is food is just the runway to these bigger ideas, and the big epiphany in these blue zones is that longevity wasn't something individuals pursued. It was an outgrowth of having the right environment.
And John, the problem here in the U.S. is just these big, bad, empty calories that people are cheap.
Processed foods, people can have carbohydrates, but if they're highly processed, then they're not as helpful.
Today our focus will be the secrets found in the Loma Linda Blue Zone. In fact, today You're meeting with someone who abides and lives by the same secrets.
Something called the Danish twin study established that only about 10% of how long the average person lives within certain biological limits is dictated by our genes. The other 90% is dictated by our lifestyle. So the premise of Blue Zone is if we can find the optimal lifestyle of longevity, we can come up with a de facto formula for longevity. But if you ask the average American what the optimal formula of longevity is, they probably couldn't tell you. They've probably heard of the South Beach diet or the Atkins diet, and you have the USDA food pyramid. There's what Oprah tells us. There's what Dr. Oz tells us. The fact of the matter is there's a lot of confusion around what really helps us live longer better. Should you be running marathons or doing yoga? Should you eat organic meat or should you be eating tofu? When it comes to supplements, should you be taking them? How about these hormones or resveratrol? And does purpose play into it? Spirituality, and how about how we socialize?
As you will notice, the tools that I will share with you are very simple. When put together, however, they become powerful life changers. You may be here with a very complex condition, or perhaps you're in good shape, but just curious to learn how to fine-tune your health. No matter who you are, everyone is welcome here. And though I cannot promise you will eradicate your condition with the basic tools I will share with you, I can comfortably say that I've seen the reduction of chronic symptoms even in the most critical of cases. Many times, some even find victory over impossible situations from just applying these simple lifestyle changes. The result will correlate with your effort. In other words, you will only find great benefits if you make great changes in your lifestyle habits. Together, we will learn many things today, but more than this, we will probably need to learn to unlearn many other things. In order to share the Blue Zone secrets more effectively, it will be necessary to start by reviewing your lifestyle habits, followed by the review of a few key health metrics. If we find you're in good shape, then there's really not much to be added. In order to assess your lifestyle habits, we will go through the following 3 steps. The first step is to fill your application document. You can download this at our website under the contact page. Hopefully by now, you have already filled as much as possible, as this will save you valuable time during your visit. Please fill it to the point and as honest as possible. This will give me a quick history of your lifestyle habits. All of what you share with me will be absolutely confidential. In that same form, you will find a disclaimer and liability wager page. In short, what I'm saying there is this: I'm not a doctor, I didn't study medicine, this is not a practice of medicine, nor is this a clinic or part of one. I cannot diagnose, prescribe, nor any of the assessments done today are objective tests. You are my visitor, and I am only a lifestyle educator who can only suggest lifestyle habits. For recommendations and changes, it's best to talk to your doctor first and foremost. Our assessments are only subjective reviews, and everything done and shared is done for education purposes only. Once signed, we can proceed. The second step, we're going to review your basic vital signs. In this stage, we're going to weight you and find out through a full body composition scale a good estimate of your weight, bone density, body fat percentage, metabolic age, hydration, and more. I will collect all your data and will review this together with you towards the very end. Third step is to run a basic microscopy screening. In this stage, we will need to wash your hands with warm water and soap. After disinfecting your fingers, we're going to use a sterile lancet and extract a tiny droplet of blood from your finger throughout the same methodology a diabetic would use to check their glucose. Everything used in this non-invasive approach comes from a box. is new and is used only once. Though simple, you can rest assured that the maximum standard will be employed. Healthy red blood cells look like this. You will notice they are round in shape and generally of similar size. Notice that though they are touching each other, they're not overlapping. In the plasma, which is where they swim, you will also notice your platelets, the body's mechanism in charge of preventing hemorrhages when injured. We should also expect to see white blood cells, but they're not on this photo because there's only one white blood cell for every 700 red blood cells. Your white blood cells are your line of defense against viruses, infections, and bacteria. Once your red blood cells are in the microscope, we will pick the best spot in your sample and together we will compare them against the reference chart in search for meaning. We will only take notice if the shapes are repetitive, common trends. With the use of our reference charts, you yourself will be able to quickly identify what each shape is an indicator of. Part of the third step is to collect a few more drops, this time for your dry blood analysis. We will again compare your samples with a healthy picture of a dry blood sample, which should be homogeneously red and have black cracks, which represent a fibrin network. This part of the review will help identify oxidation, which commonly appears in the form of white puddles. Red blood cells have a lifespan of 4 months, but oxidation will shorten their lifespan. Again, you yourself will be able to compare and review your results with the reference charts. This concludes the discovery process. We will then move on to review the results together and see where are your strengths and weaknesses. Once reviewed, we will move on towards the solutions. This part is also divided into 3 parts. The first is a good diet, in particularly a diet that is at least 90% plant-based. The second is to pursue an active life. This can be understood as moderate exercise. And third, mental stability. These are all interconnected. A blue zone result cannot be achieved without one of these 3 components. Take for example the neglect of the mental part. No matter how good you eat and exercise, stress and anxiety will likely have a significant weakening impact to your immune system. Science has shown that the best approach for addressing the mental part is through spirituality. Notice I did not say religion. In Loma Linda, for example, the residents go beyond religion. They not only have a belief in a superior being, but they pursue a living relationship with God. And the product of this is active, benevolent works. Not only do they find joy in selflessly serving others, but they find an incomparable sense of purpose in doing so. It is my sincere wish that we can discover new areas of improvement together. Today you will find that most of what the world offers us is contrary to the practices found in the blue zones. I recognize you will be overwhelmed with information. To help you, I have built our website with numerous videos, recipes, and lots of information for your own reference. In addition, you can procure the same booklet the Loma Linda Blue Zone centenarians have been following since the early 1900s as a practical guideline. It's called The Ministry of Healing, available online at no cost, or on paperback for a small donation of $5 here today, while supplies last. As mentioned by Dan Butner, there are many theories to find health. It can quickly get very confusing. The dietary, mental, and lifestyle secrets found in this blue zone has a 6,000-year-old track record, and the results, as you have already seen, have been backed by science, beating the test of time. With regards to all the new things you will learn, my humble suggestion is to take it slow. Maybe you can grab 5 new things and make them your own. Taking more than you can handle may overwhelm you and create stress, which is counterproductive. Implement a few things and accomplish them as best as you can. If you do, I know for a fact that you should find great results. And these results should motivate you to add a few more changes. The idea is that you can progressively begin to turn your life around for the better, one day at a time. Thank you for visiting us today. My sincere desire is for you to find optimal healing, not only physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.